When Booksmart came out in 2019, people who liked it, including me, were interested to see what Olivia Wilde was going to do next as a director. Then we heard Olivia Wilde was in early production for her next movie. We heard Florence Pugh and Shia LaBeouf were casted as the main leads in this movie. Then Shia was no longer involved with the movie. After that, it was announced Harry Styles would replace Shia, which is just a weird choice to me, even before seeing this movie. I remember even back in 2020 when this was announced, I was just like, out of everybody in Hollywood, why Harry Styles? He must have a really good agent or something like that. And then that's when even more drama was going on set. Not really gonna go into what happened, what didn't happen on set, but all of these stories definitely helped the marketing for this movie. In Don't Worry Darling, Florence Pugh plays Harry Styles' wife. They live in a 1950s utopia where Styles works for a mysterious company that we really don't know much about. That company is controlled by Chris Pine. Pugh then starts to question this world that she's in, and she tries to figure out what's going on. This is pretty clear from seeing in the trailers, but the production is great. The interior designs are unique, and each setting feels very different from one another. It all looks very practical. It looks like there wasn't really any green screen. I'm sure there might have been some green screen used at some point, but there's a lack of it, and it looks real to me. The cinematography is also great. Wilde is a great visual director. This was very apparent in Booksmart. And when she's paired with a great cinematographer, the visuals, how the movie looks, is probably going to be one of the best aspects of her movies. Matthew Libatique is the cinematographer for this movie, and he certainly helps this movie look exciting, even though it really isn't. There's a car chase scene in the final act. This is the closest thing that we have gotten from Wilde as far as action sequences go. It's nothing crazy since the chase scene takes place in a huge desert, and because of that, this scene doesn't have to deal with a lot of edits. It's competent enough to look at and follow what's happening, so that's a big pro going on in this movie. I'm a little torn on John Powell's score. I think it's well written, and I do enjoy listening to it on its own. The usage of it is very literal when Pugh is panicking. It seems like Powell was told, hey, this is what I'm kind of going for, and Powell just made it really straightforward. Florence Pugh is great in this movie. No matter what Pugh is saying or how everyone else reacts in the movie, she makes her lines and everything that she is going through feel believable. Now, that's coming from her. With Harry Styles, it's different. Styles' acting isn't as bad as it may seem. I remember there was a viral clip going around on Twitter, and it was questionable, I'm not gonna lie. But when he is not doing anything big, he's not really doing anything special, he's fine. He hits the lines. There's not a lot of emotions. It's whenever he tries to match Pugh's energy and emotions, and that's when it goes south. It feels lifeless. It doesn't work. It doesn't match her energy. It really feels like him acting. I saw the movie with a lot of One Directioners. There were times where they laughed. There were times where they gasped. You could probably guess when they laughed and when they gasped. Even his biggest fans can admit his flaws. This isn't really a spoiler either, but I feel like I just need to mention this one scene with Harry Styles where it involves him dancing. I seriously have no idea what was going on in this scene. It just really doesn't make sense to me why he is dancing. Everyone else in the cast is severely underused, but they do a good job with what they're given. Chris Pine is definitely great whenever he pops up in the movie. He's kind of going for a more like Silver Fox type of character. He's got the attitude, he's got the charm, there's a little bit of mystery to him. Him and Pugh, they definitely have good chemistry. Gemma Chan is hardly in the movie. I think maybe she probably has like less than 4 minutes of screen time. And then her character does something in the final act which does not make sense to me because They don't really build up to what she's doing. I guess it's kind of more of a like fist pump type of thing, but it just did not make sense to me. There are some comedic performers in the movie too, like Nick Kroll, Kate Berlant, and Timothy Simons. They all do great. They're not really doing comedic stuff. Nick Kroll is a little bit more of a fun guy type of character in the movie, but there's really no jokes coming out of him. He's not doing his dumb, stupid voices. Props to them for being able to do serious work. Just gives them more credibility as actors. Kiki Layne is hardly in the movie as well. She did say her character was severely cut in the editing room. It makes sense that she never shows up later on at some point in the movie. It doesn't work for the story, but it makes sense. It's like, oh, well, that's why we don't see her again, because she got cut from the editing room. But the whole movie acts like, oh yeah, she came back. Nah, we never see her again after a certain moment. If you've seen the trailer, you've already seen basically the entire gist of this movie. Very early on in the movie, we are already starting to question this world. I remember once Pugh was starting to be like, what is this? And she like cracks an egg and there's like nothing in there. I was like, oh, we're doing this now. We're only like 8 minutes in the movie. And then we see some stuff that Pugh starts to question a bit more. And then this happens again and again and again for like 30 to 40 minutes. And it makes the pacing really come to a halt. This never leads to character growth. It doesn't let the audience feel anything exciting until the third act. I did question a few things by the time the movie was over. Some things were never explained. Some of the ideas were never fully there. They were never fully realized. They didn't go into depth. And I wanted to make sure that I was not an idiot and I didn't miss stuff. I remember I asked multiple people, I was like, hey, what was the point of this? Why did they do this? And they'd be like, I don't know. Or I'd be like, did they ever explain this in the movie? And my friends would be like, no, not really. And I was just like, all right, so what was the point of this? Don't Worry, Darling is not the worst movie ever. It's honestly a watchable movie. However, that might change during a rewatch because you already know what to expect, you know what's to come, unless you're just wanting to make fun of the movie. But even then, I don't think there's a lot of laugh out loud moments, again, unless you're a huge Harry Styles fan. It visually looks good, and I like the production. It's very practical. John Powell's score is good, but it might have some audience members roll their eyes when it's used. Florence Pugh and Chris Pine are great. Put them together in more movies. Everyone else in this movie is underused. Harry Styles doesn't give the worst performance I've ever seen, but he's definitely trying to act. You can tell. It never feels real. He never matches what Florence Pugh is going for. The story doesn't do a great job on its messages. They're a little shallow and predictable. Characters are forgotten. Plot points are forgotten. It's a big miss. It seems like this is a movie where she thought about the visuals, how it's gonna look, production, the soundtrack, because there are 1950 songs in it. Seems like she thought about all of that first, and then she was like, all right, and now the story. Let's make it about this and this. There's nothing really exciting going on, and you will forget this movie sooner than later. I still have high hopes for Wilde as a director. I feel like maybe she just needs to focus on stories that are a bit more focused on characters. She seems to be very good with characters, at least in Booksmart. I believe she's doing Spider-Woman next, so we'll see how that goes. Let's just hope nothing crazy happens within production. Right now, I am going to give Don't Worry, Darling a 2 out of 5. All right, well, thank you so much for watching this. If you made it this far, did you see Don't Worry, Darling? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know down below. Let me know what I should review next. I actually really don't know what I'm going to do, so we will see. Make sure you like, comment any of your thoughts. Subscribe if you're liking this. Make sure you exercise every day. Make sure you drink your milk, and have a great day.